Welcome to Scorpio Soul Time. I'm Ronique and I appreciate you joining me here where each lunation cycle, which is about every 2.5 weeks, we come together and talk about what the moon, the sun, and also the other planets, how they are playing out in the sky. Because as they say, as above, so below. So this is a great time for me to check in with not only the astrology, but also use tarot cards to tap into the energies. So I appreciate you joining me here today. So today we are going to talk about the new moon in Virgo at 25 degrees on September 17th, 2020 at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. So I'm really excited about this new moon in Virgo because it's almost like the universe is telling us you have a little reprieve during this time because it's like go time, because the sun and the moon, as you can see here, are both sitting in Virgo at 25 degrees. So Virgo is this sign of anything dealing with the physical world. So this could be anything dealing with your job, your daily routines, your health, anything, your job, your finances, anything that has to do with like the material world. That is what Virgo rules. So with the sun and moon sitting there in Virgo, it is a very potent time to start new initiatives, but also like check in with yourself and figure out what kind of routines do you need to perfect or manifest, or what are the routines and schedules you really need to get down in order to make any of your manifestations come to light in the future. So this is really a great time also because the sun and the moon are also trining Saturn and Pluto, and then Jupiter is in the mix here too in Capricorn. So this is a really great mixture of these very solid foundations of your material world, because remember, all of these planets, Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter, are in Capricorn, and they are in this really nice trine with the moon and sun in Virgo. So there's almost like this opportunity, especially around your career or your job, anything of a daily routine that you've been trying to get traction on. We spoke about this a little bit 2 weeks ago when we had that full moon in Pisces, because the sun was then also just starting out in Virgo. But now that we've come into Virgo for a few weeks, you're probably getting like more information and more themes around going within and figuring out how to manifest things in your life that are on the physical plane. And I pulled today the Hermit because the Hermit is the 9th card in the major arcana. And this depiction I really like. Usually in the Rider-Waite tarot deck, they show the Hermit with a lantern, and he usually is in a like barren terrain. It's snowy, so it's almost like going within and like being with yourself to find enlightenment, and then going back to your community or your daily routines to enlighten others. But what I like about this depiction of the Hermit, and I'm going to get it a little closer for you, do you see how there's all of this fruit, and behind him is like the storm and the barren land, but you can see he's by himself, and it's almost like he is going and picking these fruits and almost like enriching himself with nutrients and these resources of what can make him healthy, what can make him stronger, what can revitalize himself to then go back into his daily life, his daily routines with this nourished body. I'm hearing like renewed soul, and that really is what the Hermit is about, and that's what the Hermit represents, the Virgo sign in the tarot. So I want you to think about the Hermit as we do today's reading, because I think what's really important is that we realize that even though this year has been like really rough and you know, it's just been a whirlwind of just things coming at us, there is like this cosmic reset, it feels like, at this Virgo new moon, where the universe and your spirit guides, your angels, your ancestors, they're wanting you to almost like go back into yourself and like realize that the outer world is always going to be changing, but you yourself, you can be evolving in a more positive way. I think we now all have started to realize that we have to find ways on our own to revive ourselves, nourish ourselves. And so I think this Virgo time is going to be a really great opportunity for all of us to reconnect with our personal lives. I know for me, it was at that full moon in Pisces, I did a detox and I decided, you know, time to get rid of all of the fattening foods and go back to drinking the, you know, 96 ounces of water a day. And I've been doing better at juicing and just trying to get healthier. And I've realized like it hasn't been as hard as I remember it being in the past. And so I really think that that's the universe saying, you know what, it's time to get back to yourself, get back to those things that you've wanted to manifest in the physical world. So today we're actually going to pull, I'm going to show you the deck. We're actually going to use this, your Sacred Wealth Code Oracle cards. And I really like these because they give us like it says a daily practice to unlock your soul blueprint for purpose and prosperity. And what I like about that, when you're dealing with earth signs, with all this energy in Virgo and all those planets in Capricorn, I mean, you have the sun, the moon, Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter all in earth signs. That is a lot of forward momentum at this new moon in Virgo, to set your intentions for prosperity, to set your intentions for what you want to manifest in your physical world. So think through what it is you're trying to manifest, whether it's money, whether it's a career, whether it is maybe a new job title. Maybe you're in school and you're trying to do well, you know, on a test. Maybe you're just trying to start a new business. Would be a great time to start a new business. And I would say this period up until the very tail end of September is a good time to initiate those activities, because once we get into October, we are going to be entering Mercury coming into shadow, because it will actually be going in retrograde in Scorpio later in October, November time. So this is the time to manifest, or at least get I would say, you know, plant seeds. That's what I'm trying to say. Get going with planting seeds now. So let's pull. All right, so what does that say? So we have the Mystic, and it says, I am spiritually wealthy. And it says spiritual, sensitive, unconventional, transcendent, intuitive, introverted, illuminating, artistic, ingenious, intense, imaginative, revolutionary, rebellious, and mysterious. So I really like that for and as you can see, it's K2. So K2, I'm not all versed on Rahu and K2. I know it's like supposed to be the mythological story of like the front and the back of I think it's like a dragon, and it also represents like the north and south nodes of the moon. And as you know now, the north and south nodes are in Gemini and Sagittarius. So I think it's interesting that this is saying I am spiritually wealthy, because it's almost like the universe reminding us that yes, wealth and resources and all of these physical earthly possessions are obviously nice to have, but we always can come back to our spirit with wealth as a almost like a checking in point. Like you don't just need to have a huge bank account or a huge house or, you know, the job at the top of the corporate ladder. You are spiritually wealthy even without those things. So I think that this is a good reminder as we go into this new moon in Virgo. And it's almost saying to ourselves, like, you don't have to have it all in front of you to still be successful, to still be wealthy. You're still spiritually wealthy. So I'm going to keep that out as we go through today's reading, because I think that that's going to play an important part. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a past, present, and future spread, and then we will clarify the cards to get more insight. So let's think through. Oh, and one thing I want to mention is on September 22nd, Sun is going to go into Libra. This is important because Libra has to do with relationships, balance, whether you have things out of balance or you're trying to find balance. The Sun moving into Libra on the 22nd is also going to be the fall equinox. So this is going to be a really like a good time to check in with where you are at in the astrological calendar, because you're basically 6 months into the astrological new year once you hit fall. So it's like at the 6 month mark, you're kind of like, okay, where is it that I need to place my intentions? Where is it that, you know, I've gotten out of balance? And I think we can all confirm that we've all gotten out of balance in somewhere in many different avenues of our life. But I think in other ways, we've probably had to become more resilient. And I feel like maybe the balance actually isn't as hard as maybe it felt like back in, you know, March or April of this year when we started the new astrological year. So let's pull our past, present, and future. So for the past, we have the Ace of Cups. For the present, we have the Magician. And for the future, we have the Eight of Cups. Wow, so that's very powerful. So let's see here. That's exciting. So it's interesting that we have both cups here. So those are water energies. Remember, we just came out of that full moon in Pisces. So I'm thinking that the Ace of Cups, I will show it to you upright first. So the Ace of Cups really has to do with like emotional energy. Cups signify the water signs as well. So Scorpio, Cancer, or Pisces. Like I said, we just came out of that full moon in Pisces. So this could be indicative of our time that we just came through that full moon in Pisces. But since it's in reverse, I'm picking up, is there energies where you didn't get some kind of emotional blessing that maybe you were hoping was going to manifest, or did it come later than you were thinking, or are you still working through? Sometimes I get anytime I get an ace, so an ace is always like a blessing from the universe, but anytime it's in reverse, it could mean that there's been a delay. It could mean you were disappointed, like it didn't come when you wanted it to. But remember, just because it didn't come doesn't mean it's not on its way. It just may have been in almost like it was stagnated by some kind of energies. And so I feel like with this Ace of Cups though, do you see how, I'm going to turn it right back side up so you can see, do you see how there's this beautiful, these fish, and there's like this watery movement with this huge cup or this huge chalice? There's almost like this really free-flowing energy that I feel like came at that Pisces full moon. For me personally, there was like this letting go of like all of this baggage that I was carrying. And I felt like a lot of it was like in my weight. Like I felt like my health, I felt like I kind of gave the excuse of the quarantine and everything to like start eating the junk food, start like getting out of balance. Emotionally, I think I was trying to find, you know, some type of normalcy through kind of like not eating well, not getting exercise. And so it felt like at the full moon in Pisces, which I really think this Ace of Cups is signifying, it was really saying it's time to let go. It's time to like let these emotional ties to things that aren't serving you, like to let them go. Let them go in the water, let them free flow around you. And I felt like it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. I have been up and down with my weight, with my health for years. And since the pandemic, like I haven't been going to the gym because I just didn't really feel great with like the safety and health concerns with COVID and everything. Like that's just my own personal, you know, bias. And so I was just like, I needed to find ways to get my own self healthy. And I feel like this Ace of Cups was really like, it was that blessing from the universe that was like, okay, Ronique, you like stop messing around. It's time to get, you know, yourself healthier. That full moon in Pisces was a really good like ending for me. Like just get rid of it. Like Pisces is that purging energy. So there's this Ace of Cups. Think through in your life if there was something in your past that was really like this emotional bond to something that you just kind of had to let go. And I think that's what this Ace of Cups is representing. In the present, we have the Magician. And I really like this depiction of the Magician, which is the number 1 in the major arcana. This is a start to something that you have all this power. And the thing about the Magician is that he has the pentacle, he has the sword, the wand, and the cup. So it's almost like when you have the Magician upright, it's almost like there is nothing you can't do. It's like this card to me is when I was saying like it's go time. I feel like the Magician is the card for this new moon in Virgo. And I'm so glad that it showed up because this is like our signal. Like, you see this? Like, there is nothing you can't do that you can't harness, whether you need enlightenment from the sword, whether you need passion from the wand, whether you need the pentacle with the material world manifesting, or you need emotional help with the cups. I mean, it is all there. And the Magician is really signifying, I think, at this time. Remember I said like this September is going to be a really good time for you to start anything that has been kind of like in your mind, but you just was like, I'm not really sure if it's time. If you're trying to start a new business, start a new health routine, if you're wanting to get out into a new, I was gonna say pastime, but a new hobby or something that you've been thinking about, like how to, you know, you want to learn something. Like 2 years ago, I told myself I was going to take my astrology and tarot reading, like instead of me just like kind of dabbling in it, I like committed to it. And so this to me is almost like the Magician is like, stop messing around, like get on it. You now have everything that you need to get it, so that's exciting to see, because I feel like going back to that mystic oracle card that said I'm spiritually wealthy, I feel like that's what the Magician literally is saying. Like, take any emotional baggage that you had in the past, turn it around into like a powerful way of catapulting yourself into like this new version of yourself. And I feel like, you know, the fall is gonna get a little bumpy once we get into October. So I really want you to take this Magician for heart. Like, I want you to figure out what goals can you create now, what can you work towards, where is it that you can become spiritually wealthy, and use this, all those Capricorn planets and this Virgo sun and moon to really manifest what you're looking for. And then in the future, we have the 8 of Cups. And usually in the Rider-Waite deck, you see like this person who's like moving away from something old, and they're like climbing up a mountain. And you can see here, there's these 8 of Cups that this person is moving away from. And you can see this yellow, which is signifying like they are moving towards something brighter, the horizon. There is something almost like on the precipice getting ready to happen. But what I think is really interesting is you can see there's this solar eclipse here. And I think that solar eclipse is really important because when we move into December of this year, we are gearing to start eclipse season all over again. And so there is some kind of moving away from old emotional baggage that I'm picking up here. And once we get to that eclipse in December, I think it's December 14th, it's going to be in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is that sign of moving forward, travel, new experiences. And I feel like this 8 of Cups might take a few months to manifest, but to me, this is like you're moving away from all those old emotional baggage from the beginning of the year, and you are moving into like this new horizon. Like once that sun, you know, comes out from the eclipse, you're into this new eclipse cycle, a new emotional energy. And I feel like if you start setting yourself up now for that eclipse season in December, with this manifesting here with the Magician, you're really going to be in a much better place than if you just sit around hoping that it's, you know, oh, I just hope that I lose weight at the holidays, or I just hope that I, you know, maybe the perfect job will just land in my lap somewhere in December. That's not going to happen. Like you're going to have to put in the energy, put in that physical, you know, Virgo loves routines. It loves you making a plan. It is like the how, like how are you going to make things happen? And so I think that this is a really good energy for this new moon in Virgo. I want to take and clarify these cards. I mean, it's really pretty straightforward. This is probably one of the most straightforward readings I have done in a while, because it seems like there's no like, well, I wonder what this card means, but I still want to clarify just to make sure we're all on the same page. And I also like to do this because it kind of sometimes helps us. For example, just because you have the Magician, it would be nice to clarify, is there a specific part of your world that the Magician could apply to? It also helps you be able to figure out where to maybe hone in your energies in the upcoming 2-week cycle. So that's why I like to use clarifier cards. But so far, everything is really like right in line with everything that, you know, would make sense with this new moon in Virgo. So I see some trying to hop out, but no one has like really like fully taken the plunge. So I kind of get that as there's going to be a lot of energies going on, but maybe nothing that's too hard to deal with like we have been going through in these last, can you believe we're already in the 9th month in these last 9 months? So, all right, let's split the deck. Okay, so to clarify the Ace of Cups, we have the 4 of Cups, so that makes sense. The Magician, we have the 4 of Swords. Let's move this Mystic card up. So we already have 2 4s on the ground. And for the future 8 of Cups, we have the Ace of Swords in reverse. And then I just heard pull the bottom card. And look at that, there's the moon. So I think it's interesting that we get the moon card, because the moon card also is represented by Pisces, right? So I just find it fascinating how we literally was just talking about the Ace of Cups in reversed from the past here, and then we get the moon card. So there definitely is some vibrational energy around that. Let's move this a little so you can see it all. There definitely is some kind of energy around that moon in Pisces. That full moon did something to us. There was some kind of purge or something we had to get out of at that time. So I think that falls right in line with that Ace of Cups when we had that full moon in Pisces. So let's look at the past. So the past, we get the clarifier of this Four of Cups. The Four of Cups signifies there's something from the universe that has been brought to you that either you weren't paying attention, you didn't want anything to do with, or maybe it just wasn't right for you, so you were ignoring it. So think through what it is at that full moon in Pisces that you were trying to ignore, but you just couldn't ignore. And that was me, like I said, with my whole health issue. It was like I couldn't keep, feeling sluggish, being tired. Like I was just literally ignoring the universe saying, look, I'm trying to help you out here, but you're not paying attention. And so I feel like the Ace of Cups literally was like that universal gift of like, I'm emotionally going to help you realize that you need to get on the right track. So I think that this Four of Cups it's in total alignment with the past. There's something you've been ignoring. There's something that you need to either pay more attention to, or there could be some emotional support that you just haven't wanted to face, that you know that the universe has been trying to help you. Or this can also signify there could be some people in your life that were emotionally trying to help you and you didn't want their support. So there definitely is some kind of like emotional help or work that you've needed since that full moon in Pisces that you're needing to look back on, or maybe you've moved from that. So keep that in mind as we go through the rest of the reading. The second four is the Four of Swords. And the Four of Swords usually signifies a resting period. It can also mean a breakup, but it can also mean like, since it is upright, I am really thinking that this is like it could be a soldier or someone who came off the battlefield. His swords are resting. He's trying to like take a break. This could mean you've been like emotionally burnt out from that last, season of the full moon in Pisces. But I'm really gathering here that at this new moon in Virgo, since this is for the present, this to me is signifying that now that you have all these tools from the Magician to be able to set forth some goals, get started on what you need to manifest with all of that earth energy, there is this feeling of like taking care of yourself, making sure that remember the Magician isn't necessarily worried about anyone but himself, which is like the good ego side, meaning like taking time to self-care, making sure you're healthy, making sure you're getting yourself fit and ready. Remember that Hermit card at the beginning, that he was like fortifying himself with the berries and the fruits that I showed you at the beginning. I'm picking that up here, where there's this retreating into yourself, taking some time for yourself to use these energies just on yourself. Like we've gone through Leo and Cancer and several of those signs that were more about your family and your relationships, but this to me is like all you. Like this to me is like, it's time to focus on yourself, take a rest from family life or whatever, and make sure that you're in alignment for this new moon in Virgo. So I think that's really it's nice to see that, because I think many of us have been just going, just like all cylinders just going, going, going. And so I really feel like this Four of Swords is a nice energy, but also since air is swords, it could also mean that you have like some kind of mental clarity or mental rest from having to worry about everything that's been going on. And that this Magician, since it's clarifying the Magician, I feel like there's this feeling inside of all of us, like it's almost like on those superhero movies where you see like they have to somehow like go recharge, like when Superman used to have to like go into his crystal mountain home where all those crystals were, and he would like go there to like get energized. It's almost like there's this fueling of like I'm getting myself like prepared for the next 3 to 4 months of 2020. It's like there's this resting time. And that's what I've heard so many times from other intuitives that I've been listening to, is that this September really is a time for you to like rest and recharge before we move into the more stressful months of like October and November. There really is this very nurturing time, I feel like, right now. So take this to heart, especially that Four of Swords. And then in the future, we have the Ace of Swords, and it is reversed. So let's look at it upright first. So the Ace of Swords, very similarly to the Ace of Cups, is a gift from the universe, your higher self. But this is a gift of clarity. And you can see that there's this sword coming out from the clouds, and there's this crown, and there's almost like this feeling of like somewhere you haven't been clear, now you are. But with it being in reverse, remember what I was saying, that the Eight of Cups I feel like is going to be coming out sometime in this eclipse season because of that eclipse up there. So what I'm hearing is this Ace of Swords, since it's in reverse, where you're going or where you're moving away from may not be clear at this time. There is a gift of moving away from something, but it's going to take some time for it to become abundantly clear. And that's what I'm getting from this Ace of Swords. I almost hear be patient. I just heard be patient. Like you may want to move away from something right now, but maybe since this eclipse is happening and it's dark and the brightness of the sun moving out from the eclipse hasn't occurred yet, this Ace of Swords is saying there is some time that you're going to have to wait for messages, wait for more information. Because remember, swords have to do with air energy. So this could also mean that, oh, I just heard Mercury retrograde. So you know that air has to do with anything dealing with the psyche, mind, clarity. It could also deal with communication. And so I'm almost hearing like the Mercury retrograde season is going to kind of fog things up, meaning like you're not going to get that clarity until probably December of what you're moving away from. And I think that goes right in line with the Moon card, right? Because the Moon has to do with not always being able to see everything clearly. When the moonlight is out, remember, some things are visible, some things are not, and you have to wait till the sun comes out for everything to be crystal clear. So I feel like that Moon card is really in alignment with where we're going in this fall season. And I think this Eight of Cups and Ace of Swords is really, it's almost like it's telling us be ready to move on. Just because you don't have the answers and you don't have all the clarity right now, there is a gift of moving on. There is a gift of moving forward. And so I think that what this entire spread is about is there's this spiritual wealth of being able to move on from like the emotional baggage that we've had earlier in this year, earlier in this last moon phase with that full moon in Pisces. But we're coming into this like alignment of like being able to empower ourselves, get right with that excitement of manifesting, making goals, making new routines to like move into the future. But there's also like this really nice, be patient with yourself. Take your time. You don't have to rush. I think that's what I'm also hearing with this Eight of Cups. It's like you can move on in a leisurely way rather than feeling like everything has to be like hurry up and go. But I do hear, don't just sit on your laurels. Don't just wait for things to happen. If you want to be able to move away from any kind of negativity and you want the clarity to come in, you're going to have to be the magician. You're going to have to figure out how you can use all these tools, the sword, the wand, the cups, and the pentacles. Like each of those are going to have some type of impact for you in this new moon in Virgo. And it's really exciting to see that we're like moving away from, you know, I haven't seen the death card come up in a while. I haven't seen, like, there was a while that we kept getting the death card. A few times we were getting the tower card. I mean, that was during those summer months when it was spring and summer, when it was really like hard to move through those energies. And now it feels a lot more like we've done the past. We're ready to move into a new chapter, and we're gonna move through it, but it's just gonna take a little time, take a little patience. So I'm excited to see how this like manifests for myself as well as you all. Let me know in the comments what it is that you're trying to move away from and what you're looking forward to manifesting and setting up new routines for yourself, and what you're trying to go for in this September new moon in Virgo, because I think it's going to be a really potent time for all of us. Okay, you all, well, it looks like a good season coming up of the new moon in Virgo of these next 2 weeks, and I will see you next time on Scorpio Soul Time. If you haven't subscribed, I would appreciate it if you'd hit the bell below so you'll know when I come out with new videos. I'd appreciate if you subscribe and share it with your friends, and I will talk to you all at the next time. Also remember, if you look down below, it's really important to go back, I think, on some of these moon cycles, especially like I would go back after seeing this one with so much moon in the Pisces and the Ace of Cups. I would really go back to that last video at the full moon in Pisces that happened at the beginning of September. I think it was September 3rd, and just see what themes have played out. I always tell everyone, even though it doesn't resonate with you now, I guarantee you if you go back a few moon cycles, you'll figure out what things have manifested and what hasn't. And it also helps you kind of like course direct yourself moving into the future. And with all of this earth energy, this is going to be a really good time to like get straight on what it is you need to manifest, but also what it is you want to set your intentions towards. Okay, you all, well, thank you for joining me, and I will talk to you all later. Thank you. Bye-bye.